Hello and welcome students. So in our last class we understood the meaning of recognition and the theories of recognition. So today we will understand the modes of recognition. That is, if once a recognized state decided to recognize another state, what are the modes or kinds of recognition? Since it cannot be a single recognition, it has been classified into temporary recognition and permanent recognition. In other words, the temporary is the de facto recognition and the permanent is the de jure recognition. So, we will understand what is de facto recognition. Recognition de facto means that in the opinion of the recognizing state, provisionally and temporarily, and with all due reservations for the future, the state or the government recognized fulfills the above requirements in fact, de facto. You will understand this definition meaning in the views of Oppenheim. So, as per Oppenheim, de facto recognition takes place when, in the view of the recognizing state, the new state or the authority, government, although actually independent, that is sovereign, and wielding effective power in the territory under its control, has not acquired sufficient stability or does not as yet offer prospects of complying with other requirements of recognition. Thus, the grant of de facto recognition shows willingness on the part of the recognizing state to establish relationship with the new state, but the willingness is given provisionally, that is subject to the fulfillment of all the attributes of statehood with sufficient stability. Thus, de facto recognition is granted normally when the recognizing state considers that the new state, although has a legitimate government, its effectiveness and continuance to govern the territory is doubtful. De facto recognition is the first stage of recognition as a provisional recognition of existing states to a new state. It is an actual recognition but may be withdrawn by recognizing state at any time. The instances are the Soviet Union. It was recognized by Great Britain de facto temporarily on March 16, 1921 and later permanently as a de jure on February 1st, 1924. Another instance is the Bangladesh, which was recognized by India immediately as de jure, that is permanently recognized in 1971. Then later Pakistan, America first had given de facto recognition and thereafter they had given a permanent recognition, that is the de jure recognition. So what are the consequences of recognizing de facto? That is temporarily, if you are recognizing, a state is recognizing another state, what are the consequences? The recognizing state, it secures certain advantages to both the recognizing and recognized state. It enables it to protect the interests of its citizens in the de facto recognized state. It also enables the recognizing state to acknowledge the external facts of political power and protect its interest and trade in the de facto recognized state. That is, it shows its support in terms of external facts of political power and protects its interest and trade in the de facto recognized state. The de facto recognition, once granted, may be withdrawn by the recognizing state when the latter considers that the new state has ceased to possess the capability of administering the territory. In granting de facto recognition, the state do not usually establish diplomatic relations. If the existing states, after granting de facto recognition, later choose to recognize de jure, that is permanently, they want to recognize the state which it has recognized temporarily, the effect of the later, that is the effect of the permanent recognition, is given from the retrospective date. It is the effect is given from the retrospective date, that is from the date when the de facto, that is temporary recognition, was granted. De facto recognition may be regarded as a preliminary step towards de jure recognition. However, the effect of the de facto recognition is not the same as that of de jure recognition. The question of recognition of a government. So, till now we understood the recognition in terms of both government and state. In particular, the question of recognition of a government as the de facto government only arises where there are two competing governments in existence in that particular state. In most cases, the situation is quickly resolved and the question is simply one of recognizing the revolutionary government as a new government. If the revolution has succeeded, recognition de jure means that according to the recognizing state, the state or even the government recognized formally fulfills the requirements laid down by international law for the effective participation in international community. So this is de jure recognition. Permanently there is a recognition of another state. When an existing state considers that the new state is capable of possessing all the essential attributes of statehood with stability and permanency, and it commands the general support of the population of its state, of its territory, the recognition granted is known as de jure recognition. The instances are Israel, when it came into existence, full recognition was expressly granted, that is de jure, by many states including the United States of America. De jure recognition may be granted with or without prior to de facto recognition. So it is not necessary to recognize de facto temporarily. You can Any state can directly recognize de jure as well. So de jure is a final recognition and once given cannot be withdrawn. There are three conditions precedent required for the grant of de jure recognition of a new state or even a new government, and they are a reasonable assurance of stability and permanence of both state and a government. The government should command the general support of the population and it should be able and willing to fulfill its international obligations. When a new state comes into existence peacefully and constitutionally, de jure recognition may be granted directly. However, when it is not so, to say that when the new state is formed through revolt, recognition may be granted after granting the de facto recognition. So, this was de facto and de jure recognition and its concept and related facts. So, in our next class, we will understand the difference and the similarities between de facto and de jure recognition. So till then, bye and thank you.